For the first time in years, Cristiano Ronaldo felt utterly powerless, not on the pitch, but in life. It was a cold, rainy evening in Turin, and the football star sat alone in a dimly lit cafe. The raindrops tapped against the window, mirroring the turmoil in his heart. In his hands, he held a small worn-out envelope. The paper was creased, the ink slightly smudged, but the message inside was clear. He had read it weeks ago, yet here he was, unable to let it go. The letter was from Miguel. Miguel, a name that felt like a ghost from another life. And Cristiano's childhood best friend from Madeira, the boy who had once been his constant companion, his brother in everything but blood. Miguel, who had been the first to believe in Cristiano's talent, and had sacrificed his own dreams of playing football so that Ronaldo could pursue his. But Miguel was dead. At least that's what Cristiano had believed for the past 2 decades. Now, this letter told him otherwise. Miguel was alive, but barely. The letter revealed a man who was terminally ill, living in poverty and abandoned by the world. Miguel's words were simple, yet devastating. "I don't want money, Chris. I just want to see you one last time. If you can find it in your heart to visit me, it would mean the world to me. If not, I understand." Cristiano had spent weeks trying to push the letter out of his mind, telling himself that his life was too busy, too chaotic. But tonight, under the weight of his guilt, he finally made a decision. He was going to see Miguel. The journey begins. Slipping away from his world of glitz and glamour was no easy task. Cristiano had to carefully plan his escape from the prying eyes of the media. Disguised in a simple hoodie and sunglasses, he left Turin in the dead of night, boarding a private plane to Madeira. The thought of revisiting his past filled him with both dread and anticipation. As the plane descended over the familiar island, memories came rushing back. He saw the rugged coastline, the narrow streets of Funchal, and the small football pitches where he and Miguel used to play barefoot. It had been years since he'd set foot in these places, not as the global icon Cristiano Ronaldo, but as Chris, the boy with a dream. His first stop was the small pitch where it had all begun. The paint on the goalposts was peeling and the grass was overgrown, but Cristiano could still see himself and Miguel, laughing as they practiced late into the night. Miguel had been the better player back then, stronger, faster, more skilled. But Miguel had always said, "You've got something special, Chris. One day, the world will know your name." The reunion finding, Miguel, wasn't easy. The address in the letter led him to a rundown neighborhood on the outskirts of Funchal. Cristiano hesitated outside a crumbling apartment building, his heart pounding. He knocked on the door, and when it opened, he barely recognized the man standing before him. Miguel was frail, his face lined with age and pain. His once athletic frame was now gaunt, and his eyes, though tired, still held a spark of the boy Cristiano remembered. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Miguel smiled weakly. "Chris," he said, his voice shaky but warm. "You actually came." Cristiano stepped inside, his throat tight with emotion. The apartment was small and sparse, but Miguel's spirit filled the room. Despite his condition, Miguel's humor and optimism shone through as they talked. He insisted he didn't want pity or money. He was just happy to see his old friend again. But Cristiano couldn't shake the guilt. "You gave up everything for me," he said quietly, "and I left you behind." Miguel shook his head. "I don't regret a thing. You were meant for greatness, Chris. All I wanted was for you to shine." The charity match. Cristiano couldn't let Miguel's story end like this. He decided to do something extraordinary, not for publicity but for Miguel and others like him who had been forgotten. Within days, Ronaldo secretly organized a charity match in Madeira, inviting some of the world's biggest football stars. The match was kept under wraps to avoid a media frenzy, and the funds raised would go to support not only Miguel but also local charities that helped struggling families and terminally ill patients. On the day of the match, the small stadium in Funchal was filled with locals who couldn't believe their eyes. There, on the pitch, were global football legends playing as if they were children again, laughing and celebrating the game. Miguel watched from the sidelines, his eyes brimming with tears. For the first time in years, he felt seen, valued, and loved. Cristiano scored the winning goal, and as the crowd erupted in cheers, he pointed to Miguel in the stands. Taking the microphone, he addressed the audience. "This match isn't about me or my career," he said. "It's about remembering where we come from and the people who help us get there. Miguel is my hero. Without him, I wouldn't be standing here today. Success means nothing without kindness and gratitude." A bittersweet farewell. In the weeks that followed, Miguel's health declined rapidly. Cristiano visited him every day, sharing stories, laughter, and memories of their childhood. Miguel passed away peacefully one evening, knowing he was loved and remembered. At the funeral, Cristiano stood silently, a tear slipping down his cheek. In his hand he held Miguel's old football boots, worn and faded, but full of memories. From that day on, Cristiano was a changed man. He used his fame and fortune to support countless charities, ensuring that Miguel's legacy lived on. As he stood on the pitch during his next game, the crowd chanting his name, Cristiano looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Miguel." And for the first time in years, Cristiano felt truly at peace. A legacy worth building. Days after Miguel's funeral, Cristiano found himself sitting in the quiet solitude of his childhood home in Madeira. The old house had been lovingly maintained by his family, but it still carried the warmth of simpler days. On the table before him lay Miguel's old football boots. They looked impossibly small, their once vibrant leather now cracked and faded. Cristiano couldn't help but smile through the ache in his chest as memories flooded back. He knew Miguel wouldn't want him to dwell on sadness. Miguel had always been about moving forward, about believing in something bigger than yourself. And that's exactly what Cristiano intended to do. A promise to Miguel that evening, under the starry sky of Madeira, Cristiano made a promise to his late friend. He decided to create a foundation in Miguel's name, one that would give opportunities to underprivileged children around the world to pursue their dreams, whether it was football, education, or any other passion. The Miguel Foundation for Dreams would focus on providing scholarships, building sports facilities in impoverished areas, and offering mentorship programs. Cristiano envisioned it as more than just a charity. It would be a lifeline for those who needed it most, just like Miguel had been for him. The challenge of compassion. However, starting the foundation was no small feat. As news of Miguel's story and the charity match spread, the world was moved by Ronaldo's heartfelt tribute. But with the fame and attention came challenges. Media outlets sensationalized the story, focusing on Cristiano's guilt and using it as a way to criticize his luxurious lifestyle. Critics questioned his intentions, claiming the foundation was a publicity stunt. For a while, the negativity got to him. After all, Cristiano had spent his career proving himself on the field, silencing doubters with his relentless work ethic. But this was different. How could people question something so personal, so deeply meaningful? It was then that he turned to his family for support. His mother, Dolores, reminded him of something Miguel had once said. "It doesn't matter what people think of you, Chris. As long as your heart is in the right place, the rest doesn't matter." Reinvigorated, Cristiano pressed on, pouring his energy into the foundation. He personally visited impoverished areas, meeting children who reminded him of his younger self, wide-eyed, hopeful, and full of dreams. These interactions reignited his passion, proving to him that his efforts were making a tangible difference. Returning to the roots. One of the most significant moments in the Foundation's early days was the decision to rebuild the small football pitch in Funchal, where Cristiano and Miguel had spent countless hours as children. It was in shambles when Ronaldo returned to it after Miguel's death. The goalposts rusted, and the field overrun with weeds. Cristiano decided to restore it, not just for sentimental reasons, but as a gift to the community. The pitch would be renamed Campo Miguel Fernandes in honor of his friend. When the renovation was complete, Ronaldo invited children from across Madeira to a special opening ceremony. He joined them for a game on the field, laughing and playing as though he were still that barefoot boy chasing a ball under the Madeira sun. The joy on the children's faces reminded him why he had started this journey, reconnecting with the past. As the Foundation grew, Cristiano also found himself reconnecting with parts of his life he had long neglected. He reached out to old friends and teammates from his childhood, repairing relationships that had been strained by time and distance. He even visited Miguel's family, who had been unaware of their son's final days with Ronaldo. Sitting with Miguel's elderly parents, Cristiano shared stories about their son, the moments of kindness, the sacrifices, and the unwavering belief Miguel had carried throughout his life. Through these conversations, Ronaldo found healing. It was as though he were piecing together the fragments of his past, rediscovering the values that had shaped him. The Grand Tribute. A year after Miguel's passing, Cristiano organized a grand event in Madeira, a tribute match to celebrate the Foundation's success and Miguel's legacy. The event attracted football stars, celebrities, and fans from around the globe. Before the match began, Ronaldo stood at midfield, holding Miguel's old football boots. The crowd fell silent as he spoke. "These boots belong to Miguel Fernandes, my childhood friend and my hero. He taught me what it means to believe in someone, to sacrifice for a dream, and to never lose sight of what truly matters." Today, we honor not just Miguel, but everyone who has ever helped someone else shine. The match was a joyful celebration, with smiles and laughter all around. By the end, the event raised millions for the Foundation, ensuring its mission would continue to thrive. Forever changed. Cristiano returned to the pitch with a renewed sense of purpose. Football was no longer just a game or a career. It was a platform, a way to bring people together and create lasting change. Off the pitch, he remained deeply involved in the Foundation's work. He traveled to remote villages, met children with dreams as big as his own had been, and shared his story, not as Cristiano Ronaldo, the football legend, but as Chris, the boy from Madeira who was lucky enough to have someone like Miguel by his side. As the years went on, Ronaldo often found himself looking up at the night sky, thinking of Miguel. He hoped his friend could see the lives they were changing together. And every time he stepped onto the field, he carried Miguel's memory with him, knowing that the greatest victory of all wasn't scored in a stadium, but in the hearts of those he had touched.